So what if John Carpenter and Stanley Kubrick got together and made this awesome horror movie and decided, hey, you know what, let's don't release this right now. Let's put it in a vault and wait until the horror genre really needs just a swift kick in the ass. That would be It Follows. It Follows stars Maika Monroe, Keir Gilchrist, and is directed by David Robert Mitchell. So It Follows is a movie that kind of creeped up on me a couple weeks ago. I saw some buzz about it on the internet and watched the trailer, and it looked really interesting. But I thought, this is not a movie that's going to come to my theater, and supposedly it was supposed to come to video on demand, but then they decided to go ahead and release it in theaters. And boy, am I glad they did, because wow, what an amazing movie this is. So Jamie, played by Maika Monroe, is on a date with this guy, and they have sex, and then the guy knocks her out. And so she wakes up in a wheelchair, and the guy tells her about this thing that's going to follow her, and it will never stop following her. Its sole purpose is to kill her, and the only way that she can get rid of it is if she passes it on to someone else by sleeping with them. If she doesn't, and it does kill her, then it will backtrack and it will kill all the previous victims. So the story reads kind of like a B-movie slasher flick, but because it is directed so well and a perfect storm of elements all come together, It Follows is actually an amazing masterpiece of a horror movie. First of all, let me talk about the characters. All the characters in this movie, they feel like real teenagers. They feel like they could live right next to you. They're all very flawed. None of them are perfect. Even the main character played by Maika Monroe, Jamie, she is a severely flawed character, and if she wasn't flawed, then we wouldn't have a movie, because that's what causes this whole chain of events to occur. And also, every character is fleshed out in a way that you know them. They all have kind of a mini story to themselves, and so you can relate to every character. Such as the one character, Paul, who has a crush on Jamie. A lot of us can relate to having a crush on a specific girl in high school. And then you got Greg, who is the guy that just knows how to talk to girls, and all the girls want him, but they didn't play him out like a complete jerk or a douchebag. He actually feels like a real person, like a real character, and you don't dislike him. I also love the retro style of this movie. It feels like a mishmash of John Carpenter's Halloween and Stanley Kubrick's The Shining, and a mishmash of other things too, like maybe a little bit of Invasion of the Body Snatchers, a little bit of The Thing. You can tell that David Robert Mitchell is a fan of 70s horror, and he pays homage to that genre throughout the whole movie. I can think of 3 scenes right off the top of my head that directly resemble John Carpenter's Halloween. Also, director David Robert Mitchell, he knows how to shoot a horror film. He doesn't use the normal tropes that we see today of jump scares and just all the cliche camera tricks of the 2000s and beyond. You can tell he's really studied the genre. And also, there's the old question of, would a slow burn movie like John Carpenter's Halloween work today? And the answer is yes, thanks to It Follows. It has a slow burn feel to it, but it is edited perfectly, and it keeps you invested in the movie from start to finish. There are some scenes in this movie that are scary as hell. I mean, really creepy. And a lot of these scenes, you could see them portrayed in a jump scare, but the director doesn't do that. He uses different techniques to scare the audience. It's like he has his own horror tool belt. In one scene, he'll have the apparition coming right at you very slowly, and then other scenes, it'll come across like a jump scare, but he doesn't use music in a way that it's just like, boom, it pops up. It's not like that at all. Which brings me to the score. I haven't heard a horror score this good probably in the last 20-30 years. I mean, this is such a great horror score, and it shows how effective a score can be in a movie. Probably not since John Carpenter's Halloween has a score driven a movie from start to finish. And there's a lot of scenes in this movie where the score is going to remind you of Halloween, it's going to remind you of The Shining, it's going to remind you of Invasion of the Body Snatchers. The list goes on and on. but it all has that 70s, 80s retro style feel to it. The movie in itself feels like a 70s movie, down to the film stock. And lastly, what makes this movie so great is it is ambiguous. It doesn't spell out everything for the audience. There are a lot of scenes in this movie where the camera will cut and you are left to kind of figure out what happens for yourself at the end of that scene. So it creates a discussion. And I've already seen this movie twice in the theater and with different people, and both times there was a discussion after, like, I don't know, I thought that scene played out like this, but then the other person thought it played out like this, and then there were questions to be answered. And you can tell that this is all intentional. The director knew exactly what he was doing, and he knew exactly what the audience would take from this movie. Guys, I could go on and on about how great It Follows is. I got to give this movie a Trapped on an Island rating. It is a movie that I'm going to watch every October. It is a word-of-mouth hit, and I think that it's going to keep spreading. I'm hoping that audiences will go out and see this movie and tell their friends about it, because to me it is a horror masterpiece. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Subscribe to my channel. Follow me on Facebook and Twitter. Let me know what you guys thought of It Follows. Looking forward to hearing your opinions. Thanks for watching, and Humdrum out.